Well. That's six wells. Well, here we are talking about all season long and frankly, most of the last season that Xavier Rhodes is a joke. He isn't who he used to be. He needs to be cut. And finally, the large national media as a whole is getting on board. As Pro Football Focus writer over there, Ben Lindsley, came out with a top 10 list of big name cut candidates, and on there is Xavier, formerly Jerome Rhodes. And this is what Lindsley wrote. Quote, "It's not too often that cutting a Pro Bowl cornerback is recommended, but Rhodes getting into the Pro Bowl this season is a minor miracle or a joke, depending on how you choose to look at it. A side-by-side comparison of Rhodes' numbers compared to his fellow Pro Bowlers do a pretty good job painting the picture. Goes into the numbers, completion, percentage rate, quarterback ratings. Xavier Rhodes is not good. His decline began to rear its head in 2018, but this past season, it reached full-fledged free falling. 87 different cornerbacks saw 50 targets in their coverage in 2019, and none of them allowed a higher completion rate into their coverage than Rhodes did. His 84.3% completion rate allowed was the worst of that bunch by over 4%. Rhodes is never dominant. Blah, 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 blah. If Vikings are unable to strike a trade, cutting Rhodes and pocketing $8 million in cap space is the right move. Now, Xavier Rhodes is due to count $12.9 million against the Vikings' 2020 salary cap. 4.8 of that million is dead. And like the article said, the Vikings can free up $8.1 million pretty easily by just cutting Xavier Rhodes. Now, they're not going to trade him. They're not going to be able to trade him because it does take two to tango, and no team in their right mind is going to look at Xavier Rhodes the past 2 years. It's like, yes, he did make a Pro Bowl, and be like, hey, that's the guy that we want to pay $13 million a year for. Come on, baby. And also, we'll give the Vikings adequate trade compensation. Oh, here we go. But I guess I could see a spot where the Vikings trade Xavier Rhodes and draft picks, like Xavier Rhodes and a 5th-round pick to the Colts for a 7th-round pick, where essentially you're paying them to take on your salary cap liability. Now, would that shift what is dead against the Vikings salary cap? That's TBD in the trade, but I don't see that either. I think a cut is the most likely road to go down here, and I think that road is going to be open, where the Vikings can be like, hey, Xavier, take a massive pay cut down to $3 million a year. Otherwise, we're just going to cut you. And he'll say no, and then you cut him. And then you have $8 million in cap space that you can use on Anthony Harris. You can use on Mac Alexander. You can use a Trey Waynes even if you want. And I think that the bloom is off the rose. I think that I don't necessarily see Xavier Rhodes bouncing back into 2017 form. I just really don't. Even though Zimmer, even though he's steadfastly stood by Xavier Rhodes, even though he's passive-aggressively called him out before. I mean, training camp 2019, it's like, oh, there's a guy that's not living up to his contract. And then also you saw later on in the season where, he wasn't the cornerback one who just traveled with the other team's wide receiver one. That ship had sailed. But then also you saw the rotation. It's like, oh, it's Hughes, and then it's Brains, and then it's Holton Hill to some degree, and then it's Xavier rotating in and out. Like this is some 7th grade high school or 7th grade middle school. Everyone gets to play equal amount of time sort of deal. So I think Zimmer, who's been the staunchest Xavier Rhodes proponent for a number of years, I think he finally realized that ain't coming back from this. So I think that it behooved the Vikings to move on, because honestly, if Xavier Rhodes comes back at full freight and this team has a myriad of salary cap issues and he's allowed to come back at that salary, it would be just an abomination. It would be absolutely ridiculous if Xavier Rhodes came back at his full base salary, $9.9 million, plus the bonuses and whatever includes, because he's just not living up to that number. And yeah, the talk of, well, he can move him to safety. A, he'd be a bad safety. B, you have Harrison and hopefully Anthony Harris, and maybe J. Ron Curse, but probably not, given his tweets before he deleted his account. But then also, he's not going to take a significant pay cut to play safety. Like, he'd still want his salary now to play safety, and that just ain't going to happen, because his salary now would make him one of the highest paid safeties in the league. Ain't going to happen. So I think Xavier Rhodes is going to get cut, and frankly, it's long overdue. It should have been something that was considered last year, although his dead cap number was $17.7 million, so I sort of understand why they had to tough it out for one more season. But they know. They absolutely know. And it's something that we've been harping on all season long. It's something that the Dromes know about, and it's good to see that some mainstream outlets like PFF are starting to get on board with the hashtag #CutXavier train. We started a lot of hashtags. Cap is a myth. all that other stuff. But your thoughts, PFF getting on board, cutting Xavier Rhodes, let us know in the comment section below. Also, subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You want to support the work, hit that join box or put a little something in the Venmo. Let's give us a follow on social media as well. Until next time, Skull, production value.